Alright, picture this. You're a 17-year-old high school student working part-time with approximately $800 to his name. And you and all your friends live in a high school in a community where some of these kids are so piss rich that if they didn't want to work a day in their life, they don't have to. Their parents literally buy them brand new cars at the age of 16, 17, and 18 just to go to school. And here you are, $800 to your name, no prospects, you don't know what you want to do with your life, and you have a 3.6 GPA, so the upper echelon tier of colleges and universities are immediately barred off to you. And that was my position in high school. And that's when I really started working and really started to think about the monetary system and the way that it works. And this is the mental model that I want to present to you today. I think it's important, however, that I make the distinction that what I'm telling you is not like make the most amount of money possible. In my opinion, whenever somebody orients themselves too much on making as much money as possible, that's when you know you're setting yourself up for failure. And I also think that's a really unhealthy way to look at things. All I'm saying is that you and I were trapped in a financial system, and the best way to escape the financial system is to essentially do one of three things. Now here's the thing. The way that the current financial system is set up is essentially you borrow money, you buy something you can't afford, and then you just die. Like you just literally borrow money, borrow money, borrow money. You borrow money for school, you borrow money for car, you borrow money for house, and then you basically just die. And that's literally the system. And if that sounds miserable to you, like it does to me, one, how are we gonna change this if we can change it? And two, how can you stop yourself from perpetuating that sort of cycle? And how can you stop your children from perpetuating that sort of cycle? And that's the question that I pose to you, and the question that I'm attempting to answer myself in real time. So, in my expert opinion, because clearly I'm an expert, the three things that you can do in order to escape, essentially what's eternal slavery is, one, you become an entertainer. Now, in my opinion, in the modern day, having a side hustle, and that side hustle being content creation, is one of the easiest thing to do. Now, I've been doing content creation since I was literally 13, 14. But I'm noticing that a lot of my peers and a lot of people my age have been really getting into content creation. And the thing is, that comparative advantage that I had of starting young just doesn't really exist anymore. One, because I stopped, I basically stopped doing it. And two, because honestly, long form content isn't necessarily the meta anymore. And I'm still stuck in this phase of, I love long form. Long form is my life. So I'm not doing what's optimal, and two, I basically pseudo quit content creation if you think about it. I feel like one of the sickest jokes that was ever played to me in my entire life was touching 10K a month online in revenue and never touching it ever again. Now I guess the second way that you can just raise a crap ton of capital in a relatively reasonable amount of time is to start, sell, or grow a business. Now, growing a business, I guess, could apply to private equity, but it's more like if you have a current business, even if it's content creation, technically the business is yourself, you grow the business. Now, selling a business is something completely different. That's when you basically build something from the ground up, and then you sell it once it's actually worth something. And the last one is you start a business. Now, starting a business is the most risk to the reward. If you have a high risk profile, hypothetically, you should just start a business, because a business is the highest possible risk, but also the highest possible return. So, taking me for myself, my first ever business was reselling cologne on eBay, if you don't count content creation. Now, I sold cologne on eBay for about 1 to 2 years. But in the first 8 months of actually selling, I hit my first 10K a month in revenue, and that changed my life. Unironically, I think that affected my ability to be employed because of how life-changing it was. The fact that I made 10K in revenue in 1 month, yes, I was spending an F ton of money on ads. I pretty much, after everything was said and done, after the business sort of slowed down to the point where I was okay, the cost isn't worth it anymore, I ended up with about $25,000 in cash, and that's not a lot of money in today's speaking, but as a high school senior, I felt like literally. Yeah, I think having an online business actually affects your ability to be employed, because now anytime I clock in for minimum wage, it actually feels illegal. That's how bad it feels. The third way of ensuring your financial stability for not only yourself but your children is the slow and steady invest in an ETF, retire, and just just invest. And investing isn't going to make you rich. That's just the hard truth. Anyone who thinks that they're gonna get rich quickly by investing is just wrong. I have a coworker who was like, "Hey Alec, I want to get rich off of stocks. Can you teach me?" And I said, "Sure, how much money are you trying to put in?" And she said, maybe $20. And I said, "Okay, how much money are you trying to get out of that?" And she said, "Okay, maybe like millions." And I said, "No, not happening. Maybe if you put in $20 a day or $20 a week, maybe in like 40 years, you'll have a substantial amount of money, but just $20, yeah, unless you hit the lotto, you might as well just buy a lotto ticket. It's the same thing." But yeah, I think investing is definitely the most surefire, lowest risk way of escaping the financial system, and just stop this like generational trauma of borrow, buy, die. And yeah, it's not glorious, it's not very prestigious, but we're just here to stop the generational cycle and to stop the bad habits. Naturally, the follow-up question to that is, Alec, what are you investing in? Now, in my opinion, my risk profile is extremely conservative, or like moderately conservative, especially given my time horizon. What I'm invested in is a bunch of ETFs and a couple of individual stocks here and there in companies that I really have a lot of conviction in, such as Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, and JP Morgan Chase. Those are the three that I really like, that I have a lot of conviction for in my portfolio, but other than that, it's just a lot of ETFs. I have a couple of covered call ETF just because the market is like sort of choppy right now, and I think that's kind of like the best case scenario for a covered call ETF. And yeah, in my Roth, I have just a bunch of high growth. I have some IBIT, I have some QQQ. It's all high growth, relatively high risk, but not really for my time horizon. But yeah, so we're investing, we started a business, or at least tried, and we're also content creating, entertaining. But yeah, those are honestly just ways that you can just like increase your income if that's your goal. But I would say that your goal shouldn't be primarily to increase your income, but it should also be to just set up a system for your family in the future. And I think it might be your moral obligation. Arguably. We can talk about that in comments. But yeah.